Today on Studio 103, high school is the time when most young people land their first job and start paying for things on their own. But what are you doing to learn how to be financially literate? We'll have a conversation with one Truman teacher who's working to show them how to do it. Plus, high school wrestling, many people might think it's a boys' sport, but the Truman High School girls wrestling team is proving them all wrong. We'll sit down with the coach of the top girls wrestling team in New York City, and here's a clue, they're right here at Truman. Stick around, because Studio 103 starts right now. Welcome to episode number 4 of Studio 103. I'm your host, Waleed Najib. There's been a lot of controversy in the news lately about high school and college sports and who gets to play in which leagues. But there's no controversy about who's the best girls wrestling team in New York City. Student producer Araceli Rodriguez, a wrestler herself, sat down with the coach for a preview of their upcoming season.
Thanks. I'm here with the girls wrestling team, Coach Cook and Juliet.
Hi.
So, how are you, Cook?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you, Juliet?
I'm good. You?
Everything's good. So, Cook, how did the girls wrestling team started?
Okay, so back in, I think it was, I can't remember the exact year, maybe 2015, I had a few girls that came out for the boys wrestling team in the wintertime, and that was right around when the PSAL had started to create a girls wrestling league throughout the city. So Pearl Fletcher, I can't remember the couple of the other girls' names, but they gained interest with the sport in the wintertime with the boys and really petitioned hard to get a girls wrestling team here at the school. Mm-hmm. They recruited a bunch of their friends. Natasha Padilla was some of the names that I can remember, Colette Hamilton, and with that, it just kind of took off. Our first year, we did pretty well, made the playoffs in our first year. And then by the second year, we were in the finals of the PSAL championship.
Mm-hmm. But isn't wrestling for boys?
No, that's a common misconception. Girls wrestling is one of the fastest growing sports in the country at the high school level and now at the collegiate level. Mm-hmm. Recently, the NCAA has just voted to create a championship for women. So it's going to be a sanctioned NCAA sport with a championship across all leagues, Division I, Division II, and Division III.
Does that make it tough being like a girls wrestling coach?
Yes, some people, ask me if it's tough to coach women, coach females. At first, it was a little different. It was different in a way that, managing a team of females, managing the different emotions that go along with the girls on the team. So that was something that was new to me at first. But I find it sometimes easier to coach to girls, to be honest. They sometimes learn things a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. They're more open to listening to the ideas of the coach and not just trying things on their own. Yeah. So it was an adjustment. I could definitely say that, but it hasn't been difficult coaching the girls at all.
Mm-hmm. Juliet, what made you start wrestling?
So I started in middle school, and I kind of got dragged in the sport because my middle school coach, he kept insisting for me to join. So I gave it a try, and then I just fell in love with the sport.
What kind of support do you get from your team or coaches?
I get like a family support. So I like to be in like areas like that where we all feel like a family, and then we just support one another and we want to see each other strive for what we want. So yeah.
What do you guys both think that women, females, faces like towards wrestling?
Say that again?
Like, what do you think like their challenges they face when they try to do wrestling?
Oh, you want to go first?
Yeah, like mostly men, they will think that we can't do it because they feel that they're more like superior in a way, like it's more of a male dominant sport. But now since it's progressing, it's showing that the men, they're leaving, and then we're gonna go higher than them.
I forgot the question. Okay, so as far as the girls go, they see some of the guys, especially whether we go to other schools, because I have girls that wrestle on the Juliet wrestles on the boys team and has competed against the boys before, and has beaten boys before. Araceli, you've wrestled against boys and beaten boys, so sometimes it's a surprise. Some kids think that, oh, I have a girl, this should be an easy match, but from both of your experiences, you can. It's a combat sport, but it's a weight class sport, so you're the same weight as your opponent, so it really shouldn't matter, female, male. Obviously there's a physicality and physical differences, male and female, but overall I think you just get put out there on mano y mano, so to speak, where it's just a head-to-head kind of thing. Another challenge that I feel is sometimes in a weight-dominated sport, like weight loss. People are sometimes, there's a stigma that goes along with wrestling, and it's like you have to cut weight, you have to lose weight. I hate that word, cut weight. We want to lose weight healthily, and so we have to go into weight classes. So that's why sometimes I think it might be a little bit more challenging for the girls, because they're sometimes we can run away from ourselves when it's so worrying about our weight, when we should really just be worrying about wrestling and learning and competing.
And what advice would you give to a girl that's scared to join wrestling?
I would just squash any fears that she had. None of the girls that are on our team had any experience prior to joining the team, right? Mm-hmm. Juliet obviously had some middle school experience. You had some middle school experience when I was coaching you at 181. But the last couple years, and actually since the inception of the team, we have girls that started their sophomore, junior, and some even senior year, and have done exceptionally well. It's just it's a fun sport. We shouldn't really be worried about the wins and losses right now. It's just about getting out there, having fun, learning something new, getting healthy, and creating friendships and lasting friendships on the team.
And Julia, you too, what advice would you give to a girl that's scared to join the wrestling team?
I really don't know. I'll just say, just do it, give it a try, and then if you don't feel like it, just like do something that you have never done before, because it'll be more fun like that. Mm-hmm. You'll have a new experience.
So I heard the wrestling team, girls are the season's about to start. So what are you doing to prep?
Well, the winter season's for the boys. Well, not just for the boys, but the winter season is a folk style season. Mm-hmm. Girls season is coming up in the spring. It's a different style of wrestling. It's the Olympic style of freestyle wrestling. Some of the girls that have been on the team have been training throughout the winter. Other girls have been cross-training in other sports. We have some that are on the indoor track team right now. So it's just a matter of the current girls staying in shape, and then, now it's the recruitment process. We have, later this week, we have a meeting for the girls, an interest meeting, and I think we have a good base, and to just get ready for the season is focused on basics and recruitment from here on out.
Julia, how you get ready for the season?
I'll mostly practice with Coach Cook, and then I'll just lift weights and stuff like that. Or I'll go to beat the streets.
So, Cook, what do you focus on the most in practice before the season starts?
So early on in the season, again, this sport is different from most other sports. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of body mechanics and body positioning and understanding movement prior to actually learning anything about wrestling. So our warm-ups involve tumbling, forward rolls, cartwheels, and things like that, which some girls and even the boys are, apprehensive about, because we can't do that. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. But to that, I just say, just give it a try. What's the worst that happens? Some of the best wrestlers that have left this school have started out falling on their face the first time they did a cartwheel, right? We have one of the girls on our wrestling team, women on our wrestling team several years ago, Nia Crosdale. She was a 5-time high school All-American. She was a 4-time collegiate All-American. She fell on her face every time she did a cartwheel in her first practice. And we have a mat, and all she did was get up and run to the end of the line and try it again. And all I could do is, we don't like to say I can't do right now, but I will work to get to a point where I will and I can do it. So she just kept going and going, and she came back the next day and the next day. And like I said, she had great success, got her to college, got her a 4-year degree, got her into her master's degree while still wrestling. And now she lives in North Carolina and is working for a Big 4 accounting firm. So, and much of that comes from the discipline and the experiences that she got while on the wrestling team.
What goals do you have for this team?
The goals that I have for the team this year is, just to, number one, I don't have great expectations to always be in the championship. We should always want to win the championship, but if that is our only goal from the jump, I don't think that's the way to start. My goal is to just put a group of girls together, teach them a new thing, teach them one day at a time, and hopefully in the end, we're sitting there in the championship match like we have been for the last 8 seasons.
How important is teamwork?
Again, wrestling is a great sport. It's an interesting sport in that there's both a team aspect and an individual aspect. The dual meet is a match that has, we have 12 to 13 weight classes, and the team score goes by the individual matches of the girls that are wrestling. So there's a team aspect there, but then there's also the individual aspect that the girls want to win themselves, and then there's an individual championship at the end of the season where they try to become the champion of their particular weight class.
Julia, how do you feel about wrestling? Like, do you have any goals, dreams?
I just want to wrestle very good out of state, not just in New York. I want to accomplish many goals of wrestling. Like, I want to wrestle in college. I want to be known for it. I want to be so known for it that someone is afraid to wrestle me on the other side of the mat. And I want to be very confident where I go with it.
Do you have a favorite practice partner?
Emily.
Okay.
No, you told me.
Okay, I thought it was going to be me. That's why I asked the question. I thought I was going to be your favorite, but okay.
You're up there.
So that's all we have for today. I'm here with Coach Cook and Juliet. Thank you.
Thank you, Araceli. Thanks, Juliet.
Many of you have one of these, a wallet. But as money comes in, money goes out. Do you really understand how to manage it and how to save and invest for the future? Well, student producer O'Brien Roach has a conversation with one Truman teacher who's working to help his students understand more about financial literacy.
Thanks, that's right. We are here to talk about financial literacy with our media teacher. I know that's where wise Mr. Rausch here with us to talk about that, but we will get into it. Hi, Mr. Rausch, how are you doing?
Oh, Brian, I'm good. How are you?
So can you explain what is financial literacy?
Well, financial literacy, at least my definition, and I'm sure there's lots of definitions out there, is just when a person understands the impacts of all of the different pieces of their financial life and the decisions that they make regarding their finances, right? So as you come through high school, you start to get to a place where you work a job, maybe you are saving for college, or you're saving for different goals. And there are lots of different things you need to think about, not only through your teenage years, but into adulthood to help you shape your financial future. And so understanding what all is out there, what all you need to do to be on top of your game, to me, that's what financial literacy means. I'm sure there's lots of other more professional definitions than that.
Okay, so you're a media teacher, so why do you think you take on the task to teach financial literacy to your kids?
Yeah, okay, so why are we here to talk with the media teacher about financial literacy? So something I started several years ago with my senior class is to teach them a half-a-year unit on financial literacy. It started off, maybe 2017, when my seniors they just seemed like they were tired of media. They didn't want to do any more video and more film, so I said, let's try this. And what ended up happening was they soaked it up, and they were so excited to learn about checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, credit reports, credit scores, insurance. And they had such a positive response to that back then that I decided to incorporate it into the media program. It's only half a year out of the whole 4 years of media, but this is a career and technical education program, or CTE as the state of New York calls it. And part of being prepared for your career, right, and your life is knowing how to manage your finances. So I got this program. It's no longer available, but it's called the High School Financial Planning Program. And it involves 6 different modules, and each module has a book. And it talks from everything about money management, borrowing money, earning power, investing, insurance, and financial services. I've held on to these books because the company who produced them doesn't produce them anymore.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's just a really great tool that we go through with my seniors to really put them on a great first footing as they leave high school and go into the real world.
So credit is a big part of America. So how would you tell the kids in Truman High School and those who are watching Studio 103, how do you start to build your credit after high school?
So in many cases, in most cases, you really don't start to build credit until you're 18 years old. And one of the most simple, basic ways to establish a credit history is open a checking account at a bank. That's it. Open a checking account at a bank. That gets your Social Security number established with the 3 main credit bureaus, one called Experian, one called Equifax, and one called TransUnion. Now, a lot of young people think they have to open up a credit card in order to build their credit score. And while it certainly does help, it's not the only way. Okay. Because what these credit agencies are tracking are, do you pay your obligations, do you pay your bills on time and as you agreed to pay them? So if you take out a credit card, and you spend on that credit card, every month you're going to get a bill either in the mail or in your email to say this is what you spent and this is what you owe us. And as long as you make those payments as agreed with that lender, that's going to build and boost your credit score over time. The big key young people need to understand is you don't go to an 800 credit score overnight. This is a long-term process that happens over many years. So it doesn't just happen like turn 18, open a credit card, yay, I've got good credit. No. You're young, you're new to credit, your score is going to be low. But the longer you maintain those open accounts, the longer you go without missing a payment, making a late payment, letting a bill run over, the better and better your credit score is going to become.
And what is the best credit card you think to get?
That's a great question, and everybody wants to know what's the best credit card. The short answer is there is no best credit card. Because every credit card offers different value and different incentives, and they're all individual, right? So if you're a person who travels a lot and you like to fly places, there are certain credit cards that give really good travel benefits or really good airline miles. Someone like me, I like to use a credit card that gives a cash back bonus. So the credit card I use regularly gives me 2% cash back on every single purchase I make. It doesn't matter if it's groceries, gas, food, whatever. I get 2% cash back. And I pay my bill in full every month. So this is a key that a lot of young people don't know. When you pay your bill in full every single month, you don't pay any interest charges. And that's where the credit card companies really kill you, is those interest charges and those fees. If you buy a $10 pizza on your credit card and pay it off over 5 months, that $10 pizza could easily cost you $17 or $18 by the time you pay all the interest, right? So really, the best credit card doesn't exist. It's which credit card offers the right benefits and the right incentives that match your lifestyle. But the only thing I would say is that as a young person starting out, you should avoid any credit card that charges you an annual fee. There are many credit cards that charge $50 a year, $95 a year, and it's just not necessary starting out. You can find some really great no annual fee credit cards that have nice perks. So look for those first.
Okay. In what ways does money management impact reaching financial goals?
Well, listen, it depends what your goal is, right? If you want to save $5,000 to buy your first car, right? You get your driver's license, 16, 17 years old, you can't just pluck that $5,000 out of a tree. You have to save it.
Right.
And whether you get an allowance from your parents, whether you buy and sell things on the internet, whether you have a part-time job, you have to be able to manage what you're bringing in along with what you're putting out, what you're spending every day and every week in order to reach that goal. And that's where financial management really comes in. It's being able to look at all of your numbers and say, this is what I bring in every week and every month. This is what I'm spending every week and every month. And hopefully you're in a position where you're bringing in more than you're spending, because at that point you have what we call discretionary income. Discretionary income means income that you get to decide where it goes, right? So I have obligations every month. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay my car insurance. I have to pay my Con Ed bill, right? Those are obligations that I have to pay in order to live, right? So if I'm earning just enough money to pay just those bills and nothing more, I have no money left over at the end of the month to spend on what I want or save toward one of my financial goals. So your goal early on needs to be to take in more than you spend, so that when it comes time to say, wow, you know, I need $500 for a tuxedo and flowers and a car to go to the prom. Right. Or I need $100 here and $50 there to apply to these college applications, right? You have to put yourself in a position where you are earning more than you're spending so you can save toward those very specific financial goals.
List two ways of keeping your financial goals like aligned.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's no really one-size-fits-all plan for everybody, because it really varies based on how you earn your income, where your income comes from, and how you spend it, right? If I had to give 2 tips for everybody, those 2 tips would be earn more,
right,
and spend less. Because if you can earn more, that gives you more towards your financial goals, and if you spend less of whatever it is you earn, you have more of that discretionary income. But really, it boils down to how you earn your money and how you spend your money, because some kids running right out of the gate, 17 years old, get their first job and they're earning on their own. Other young people have parents that are very wealthy and maybe give them an allowance every week. So there's no one-size-fits-all formula for reaching financial goals, but one piece of blanket advice that can apply to everybody is live below your means. So if you make $500 a month, however you make $500 a month, you shouldn't be spending $500 a month. You should be spending less than that, so you have excess left over to put toward longer term, medium term goals, like going to the prom, like applying for college, like maybe buying your first car.
Okay, what are other ideas that we can use to improve our financial situation?
You know, I think the best advice I can give somebody is ask questions. Ask questions. If you don't understand how a particular banking product works, if you don't understand how a checkbook works, ask a parent, ask an adult, ask a teacher. So many young people sort of wade through life not knowing how certain things work, and then they guess. Or they think they know and they're incorrect, and then they end up making poor decisions, not because they're a poor decision maker, but they're making those decisions based on bad information, right? They didn't know that the credit card would charge them this amount of interest every month. They didn't know if they missed the payment by 1 day, they get slapped with a $40 late charge. They didn't know if they overdraw their checking account with their debit card at the ATM, that they're not only gonna get hit with a negative balance, but then they're gonna get slapped with overdraft fees. So the biggest tip I can give people is educate yourself. Whether you do that through a course that you take at school, or whether you do that through YouTube videos, which are very, very helpful out there on the internet, or whether you do that through a program like this. When you are not sure how something works, ask somebody who knows, somebody who you trust, that has done their homework or has the life experience to be able to explain it to you.
So with credit card, can you pay the bill before, and does it improve your credit score, or you have to pay it on the exact day?
So credit cards will give you a due date, and then they give you a grace period, right?
Okay.
It's usually 20 to 28 days depending on the credit card. You can absolutely pay your cards off early. I do it all the time. It's just whenever I have time to sit down and do my banking, if I owe $300 on the credit card, I'll go ahead and transfer it from my checking and just pay it off, even before the bill gets generated.
Right.
A bank is never going to say no to taking your money, right?
Right.
They're more than happy to have you pay them. And I recommend that. I mean, if you've got X number of dollars in your checking account and you owe money on the credit card, you can pay it off, get it done, get it out of the way. Just keep a clean slate. But yeah, once you get that credit card statement, it's like a bill, and the statement comes once a month, and it literally lists every single transaction you made that month, and then what you owe them, and then what your fees will be if you don't pay by the due date. But definitely keep on top of it. The problem, young people, is they get on the apps on their phone, right? And the app doesn't always correlate when the due date of the bill is. Just says, oh, you owe us this much, you owe us that much. But people aren't sitting down and looking at their statements anymore. They're just scrolling on their phone going, oh, I spent this, I owe that. They're not paying attention to due dates. And the banks are actually hoping for that. they're hoping you don't pay attention, because if you miss that due date, bam, late fees, charges, interest, they get to make all kinds of money off you if you miss that date. So my best advice is pay attention to due dates, read your statements when they come out. I'm not even a fan of electronic statements. When you sign up for an account, you can say, do I want them delivered electronically, or do I want them paper envelope in my mailbox once a month? In most cases, I still opt for the paper in the mailbox, because that serves as a physical reminder. When I go home from work and get my mail out of the mailbox, oh crap, I get Chase Visa bill. Did I pay that yet? Oh, I didn't. Now I got a physical reminder in my mailbox to say, in case I didn't check it on the app or didn't check my email, you get that physical reminder. And they're doing away with it to save paper and save trees and save the environment. But it's something to really seriously consider, keeping those paper statements coming in the mail just as a reminder of when your bill's due and what you owe.
Okay, so for your seniors, they're about to leave in literally less than 6 months. So what the best advice you would love to give to them when they get into the real world?
They've heard it already.
Right.
Live below your means, meaning spend less than you make. And if you're going to start investing for future goals or retirement, start now. Start now. One of the exercises I do with my seniors is I show them, and it's part of this program, if you put $1,000 away every year for like 10 years, starting when you're 18, 10 years you invested in the stock market, and then you stop. So let's say you do it from age 18 to age 28. And then you never invest anymore. You just 10 years, $1,000 a year, and then you let it go. That will grow to become a very large lump sum of money. But then we run the same calculations using an online calculator to say, what if I wait till I'm 30 and I do $1,000 a month for 10 years from age 30 to age 40? The amount of money you'll have at the end is way less than had you started when you're 18. Because the biggest key to growing wealth is what we call compounding interest. I'm not going to go into a math lesson here on the podcast on compounding interest, but look it up on YouTube, the magic and the power of compounding interest. The biggest factor that determines how much you can grow your money over a lifetime is not the amount of money you put in or the interest rate. Those two things matter, but the biggest factor is time. How much time does that investment have to compound and grow? I had a student last school year who I won't name. You do know her, but I won't name her on the podcast. We'll respect her privacy. Who on her 18th birthday came into Truman all excited. Mr. Roush, I opened up and funded a Roth IRA on her 18th birthday, and I think she put like $500 into her Roth IRA. I said, sweetheart, you are going to be so wealthy when you retire because you started so early. And now every year she tries to put more and more into that Roth IRA. And there's other investment vehicles out there. Again, this is not a lesson on investing, right? But she started at 18. And that's what I encourage young people to do. The minute you turn 18, if you can open a brokerage account, if you can open an investment account and start saving for retirement, saving for your future, you will thank me down the road.
Okay, so that's all the time we have for Studio 103 this episode. You realize he's not just a media teacher, he's a financial literacy teacher, basically. So that's it. Thanks for watching.
That's it for today's episode. And remember, we want to hear from you. If you have an idea for a segment you would like to see, come visit us in Studio 103 on the first floor. Or you can scan the QR code on the screen to let us know. I'm your host, Waleed Najib, and we will see you here next time.